Hi, welcome.
I'm Tony.
Tony.
I didn't know of you before tonight.
That's funny. Neither did I. Didn't know of you.
My experience has been one of the things that I related most of what you said about what you said was the struggle. Mm-hmm. And my experience has been through age has a lot to do with it.
Sure.
Having kids, just getting worn out, kind of.
Getting worn out's a great spiritual practice. If you're going to do one, whichever one wears you out.
I can relate. Yeah. I can definitely relate.
Kids and aging, those are two of the best, probably.
But I've also been, I've had this problem of being a seeker my whole life. Mm-hmm. Doing the practice of meditation,
right,
and various things like that. But I feel, if I look at my life, it's kind of a linear thing, like a train, and I know that's an illusion.
Good.
I know that, but it's still there. Mm-hmm. And I have and also one thing I just want to add is that after being a spiritual seeker for a long time, I ended up in AA. And I don't say this as a joke, but and a lot of the practice in AA of letting go, of powerlessness, has been really powerful.
Absolutely. I think AA is probably a better spiritual practice than most spiritual practices. Really, from people I know who've gone through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
mostly because people get there through desperation, which is a great beginning for spiritual practice. Desperation, powerlessness, and the reaching out.
And giving up.
That's right, giving up.
And so I relate to so much of what you said, but still there's this kind of thing that hangs on, this stickiness that, I think of enlightenment. I look over at you and I didn't know of you, and I think, okay, he's there, or maybe there's a rumor that he's there, or I don't mean to be disrespectful, but
go ahead. It's much more fun that way. I'm tired of being respected all the time.
Well, I relate to you almost like it could be the same thing, except
Good Lord, wouldn't that be a disaster?
Yeah. I don't think so. But there's still this stickiness that hangs on. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean by that stickiness?
What is that stickiness for you?
What is it for me?
Yeah, what is that?
It's what happens in my life is that I'm getting pretty good at letting things go. As I said, through age and through being worn out. If my kids are misbehaving or yelling, I learn how to let it go. Mm-hmm. And I learn how to let go of resentments. And I learn how to let go of a lot of things.
You learn how to let go of the one who's letting go?
That's the problem.
That's ultimately the end of the line.
But when you say the end of the line, it's almost like, as I said, I'm on a linear, I'm on the train getting toward the station. But I
know, and I'm your wall.
You're the wall?
That's my role. We'll see if I pull it off with any grace or not.
You're the wall.
The wall for your train.
Right. And I'm trying to get to the station.
I'm the wall.
The ultimate letting go.
Yes, I'm trying to cause a train wreck. See, because what I'm saying is, there's no station. There's just more track.
I don't need to go there then.
You don't need to go there. You see what I mean?
Well, I see that, but I'm still not enlightened. I mean,
how do you know? Remember, what's your name again?
Tony.
Okay, Tony. Tony is who you're not. Okay? Let's just start there. Tony is who I'm not. Now that's fine that Tony's here, body, mind, personality, all that stuff. For the sake of the teaching, later you'll realize it's all one and Tony is who you are, but we won't go there yet. Tony is who I'm not. Tony lives, Tony has a personality, a body, father, works, responsible, all that stuff, right? Tony has a history, all that. Tony's always happening. Tony is the one that's on the train of the spiritual path, going towards the station of enlightenment, right?
Right.
Tony is now meeting the train wreck called Adya. Adya says, there's no station, right?
Right.
And I'm a wall. right in the middle of your train. I don't have power, so train can go right through me if it really wants to. And so Tony is doing that, right? Tony is always seeking something. You ever noticed?
Absolutely.
Oh, and there's nothing wrong with Tony seeking something. That's what Tonys do.
Right.
Right? That's just what they do, and there's nothing wrong with it.
I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I'm trying.
So Tony's seeking, right?
Yeah.
Da. Now, Tony thinks Tony's going to be awake, hopefully to get this point of awakening, and Tony will become the light of consciousness.
Right.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
Okay. Now, while Tony's doing that, you and I are going to have another little discussion. Now that we've got clear on what Tony's doing, right?
Okay.
Now, while Tony's chasing the light of consciousness, what's here?
Something just sitting here.
What is it that's taking me in? Taking this form in?
My consciousness.
Where's my? That's Tony.
It's
mine.
Not my consciousness?
Do you find mine? Look, it's you. It's your experience. You're the authority, not me. You look. Is there a my consciousness? So right now you're looking in consciousness to see if it's mine.
No.
None. So what is there? If it's not my consciousness, there's nothing that owns it.
Well, it's some kind of a feeling I have, my body, and I still feel.
Right. So there's just the consciousness.
Okay.
Just this consciousness, taking me in, taking this room in, just the pure light of consciousness. The pure light of consciousness is taking Tony in too, whatever he wants, wherever he thinks he's going. But see, the pure light of consciousness has beat Tony to the finish line.
Yeah, he did.
It's already there.
Cool.
It's hidden right inside of Tony. It's right inside of Tony.
Now, this is going to be a really dumb question.
Good. Dumber the better. Well, they're usually more real.
Well, I'm real. This is real. I mean, okay, so I leave here and go back to drive up to Northern California tomorrow, and I know I'm going to be back on that train.
Do you really? Let's look at it.
I don't necessarily want to be.
Okay, let's start. Do you know?
No. Well, no.
Can you know?
I'm assuming, I guess.
Is it possible for you to know what's going to happen tomorrow?
No.
How about 2 seconds from now?
No.
Okay.
So that's really being...
That's called the truth. You want to be in the moment, it's the truth that puts you there. You look, it's your experience, you see. You're the authority, not me. You see, not as spiritual teacher guys. We just keep trying to give it back to you. At least I do. Trying to say, look at your experience. You don't know.
So it's through what you were saying before, it's because of fear. I'm being afraid to just stay there.
Have you noticed?
Have I noticed that?
Yes. It can be a little disconcerting if you've never known that you didn't know what was going to happen the next moment. And you knew that you couldn't know what was going to happen, that it was impossible for you to know.
How do I stay there?
You are there. You can't get away.
I'm just guessing that as soon as I go back to my seat, I'm not going to be there.
That's your mind. That's Tony, right?
That's Tony.
Yeah, Tony does that, right? So Tony does that.
Right.
See, we haven't kicked Tony out. Tony's here.
Right.
Tony wants to know how to hold on to this. Tony's worried about tomorrow. Tony thinks he's going to fall into the lap of illusion the next moment.
Right.
Right? So that's Tony thing. But remember, there's no answer to the spiritual question that lies in Tony's domain. It doesn't lie there.
So it's like getting out of Tony.
That's right. Tony exists within you, within the light of consciousness.
That's very cool. So it's way big.
Way. You notice?
Thanks a lot.
Right?
Thank you.
And even Tony kind of starts to feel like, wow, I can kind of let go because now I'm not carrying this whole burden.
I've been thinking that my whole life. I was getting there.
Yeah.
But here I am.
You're there. You've always been there.
That's pretty powerful.
Doesn't get
I just
no
hope
powerful.
I can stay there.
Remember, Tony, now I'm speaking to Tony. Let's tell the truth about Tony. I won't even tell you. You tell me. Is Tony going to be able to stay here? You tell me the truth. Take a guess. We don't know, but take a good guess. Is Tony the one that's trying to stay here?
Cool. No, he's not.
Okay. Now what happens when you realize, because it's the truth that sets you free, right? Old statement, I didn't make it up. Kind of cliche, but it ends up being true.
Right.
So Tony says, I'm not going to be able to hold on to this. And you look at Tony and you say, you know what? You're right. You can't. And so now Tony doesn't have to fake it and pretend like he can, because he pretty much knows he can't. What's the result? Now Tony's not struggling to hold on.
It's just cool.
It's just cool.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.